The scariest thing about being chased by an animal is that they can run much faster than you can. You might think you're pretty fleet of foot, but trust me, whatever it is that's chasing you is faster. It doesn't matter if you're in the forest or the desert or the middle of the street. If something wants to chase you down, it will. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. It was late at night, and I was driving home from a trip with my two friends. We were tired and just wanted to get home. Suddenly, a deer ran in front of our car and my friend slammed on the brakes. We had stopped on the side of the road, and I looked out the window to see what had happened to the deer. To my surprise, it wasn't hurt. It just stood there looking at us, my friends, and I started freaking out, wondering what it was doing. It took a couple of seconds for us to realize that it wasn't just any deer. It was a huge buck with massive antlers. He pawed the ground, snorted, and started running toward us. My friends and I screamed and hit the gas. We didn't know what this deer wanted, but we weren't sticking round to find out. We drove as fast as we could down the dark, winding road. The deer never came into view again, but we kept driving until we reached the safety of my house. We were all shaken up and couldn't believe what had happened, but we agreed to keep it too, ourselves, thinking that no one would believe us anyway. Then strange things started happening. For weeks, we kept seeing the same deer everywhere, in the woods behind our houses, in the fields across from our school, even in the parking lot of our local grocery store. It was as if he was stalking us. At first, we thought it was just a coincidence. But then we started finding dead animals round town, mutilated beyond recognition. We didn't want to believe that the deer was responsible, but we couldn't think of anyone else who could have done such a thing. One day, while walking home from school, we decided to confront the deer. We walked slowly through the woods, calling out to him, trying to get him to show himself. Of course, he didn't show himself. But we found more mutilated animals, including a dog that had been torn apart. We were terrified and knew that we had to escape. We ran as fast as we could through the woods, and when we finally emerged on the other side, we didn't stop running until we reached the safety of my house. But the deer was still out there somewhere, and we knew that we couldn't hide from him forever. So we did the only thing we could think of. We went to the local animal control office and told them about the deer. They listened patiently, but when we described the mutilations, they called us crazy and said that there was no way a deer could be responsible. We were disappointed, but we knew that they wouldn't help us, so we went home. That night, the deer finally caught us. As we were watching TV in my basement, we heard a loud crash outside. We went to investigate and found that someone had broken into my car and destroyed it. But it was just a sick joke played by some bored teenagers. Relieved, we went back inside and locked the doors and windows. But then we started hearing screams in the forest. Big guttural screams. We all looked at each other, knowing that we were in grave danger. Then the screams stopped, and in the distance, we heard what sounded like footsteps, slow, heavy footsteps. They were coming closer. I don't know how long we sat there listening to those footsteps. But eventually they stopped. We were safe, also we thought, because in the morning, when we went outside, we found more mutilated animals, including a cat that had been torn apart, and in the dirt, we found a single hoof print, a deer hoof. That's why, to this day, whenever I hear a knock at my door in the middle of the night, I never go to answer it.